More than 100,000 students below the age of 15 years in Kenya are living with HIV, and most of them were born positive. These children are being brought up in an unfavorable environment that lacks supporting structures both at home and in school. In this video, we'll hear the voices of HIV-positive students telling us about their experiences in schools and how they wish teachers, administrations, and fellow students would do things differently.
And I've been longing to meet with that teacher and tell them like, hey, mimi niko na hiyo virusi na mbona sikai hivyo venye ulikuwa unasema.
Slogan that used to say HIV and AIDS is a terrorist.
Yenye inaweza niwa haraka ni stigma.
Sure, because they think there's no right person to tell. All the teachers shall be judged for any wrong they do to the kids.
Most of the children who were born with HIV do not get to know their status until they reach puberty. As you would imagine, this is a defining moment in their lives.
Awkward. I felt awkward, like it was the beginning of my desolation. Like the whole world's going to desolate from me. I'm going to be alone. Nobody's gonna love me. That's how I felt. I had friends by then, and most of them never liked them. Those people with HIV and AIDS, even the teachers. We had one funny teacher. All her comedies were concerning all those people with HIV and AIDS.
I knew my status when I was in class 7, 13 years old. That's why I knew my status. I was brought back in the clinic, the counselors. They told me, do you know what you're suffering from? But I told them that I had a chest pain. So they told me that's obvious. So I want to tell you now that you are positive. I couldn't believe it. At first, my mind was not there. So my mom told me on my face that you are positive. So the counselor advised me. By then I cried at length. I never knew that. I knew that I was alone. How could it get in me, but not my sister, my brother, and yet I have my small brother, and it is not in him.
Nilikuwa nikiuliza mamangu, mbona mimi naendanga hosira na kunywa madawa? Ananiambia ataniambia. Mimi nikakujanga kila siku nikitoka clinic namuuliza hivyo. Akuanga akiniambia. Mimi one day nikiwa hospitali December last year ndio date 2 in Thika level 5 kulikuwa na let's say nika party. Tukaenda huko lakini ilikuwa party ya watu wako HIV positive. Adolescents wakaitwa kando, tukaanza kuongeleshewa. Tuongeleshewa hapo ndipo nilijua status.
Najua I saw nimefika the end of the world. Hakuna future. But like let's say nilikuja kujitikia nikiwa class 7 that time. Cause niliona saa hakuna otherwise. Hata nikijikata I'll die. Hakuna otherwise, so I have to live positively. Then nika join support group. So nikaona kuna watu wengi wenye wako the same na mimi.
We sat down with the counselor and she first of all read me a verse I'll never forget. That is in Isaiah 43, where you are told even if you pass through fires or waters, I will always be there with you. So then she told me that my mom passed because of she was positive. At first I was shocked, but then I was curious to know what about me. So she told me that I am HIV positive, and because I knew there is HIV and there is AIDS, so I asked her, now, is it I have HIV or I have AIDS? She told me, no, you have HIV. I remember that I laughed and I said, thank you, Jesus. Yeah, she was shocked because she didn't expect any reaction like that. So she asked me why, and then I told her, I know one thing, HIV is manageable, but AIDS, it's like you have reached to a point where even the medicine cannot do, because you have already acquired and all those diseases. Yeah. So from there henceforth, I never had a problem with my status at all. Actually, what I have struggled to accept is my loss of sight.
There are many teachers across the country who do not know if any of their current or past students are HIV positive. As the head of the National AIDS and STI Control Program, NASCOP, Dr. Martin Sirengo tells us, it is important for schools to be sensitive on how to handle those living with HIV.
The challenge we've had with the implementation of HIV among the young people, especially learners, is that a lot of the children on treatment are taking medicines and yet they do not know why they're taking those medicines. So the issue of disclosure is very key. For learners who are in boarding schools, they do not have a safe space to be able to take their medications, get appointments to go to the schools, largely because the school environment is not supportive. One of the reasons for that is because the teachers may not know the status of the children, and therefore that provides a barrier to the children being able to access the much needed services. Teachers in schools may not have the necessary skills to be able to support the learners, and that's why as NASCOP we have put together training materials to be able to capacity build teachers together with the Minister of Education, so that they can provide the right interventions for the learners.
It is important to look at HIV from a global context as a development issue. That is why UNESCO is involved in this capacity building exercise for teachers.
HIV and AIDS is not just a health problem, it's a development problem. And where you have young people, or where you have resistance, where you have denial, it's difficult to really tackle this issue. But we know that there are lots of young people living with HIV and AIDS not very positively. And the idea is to live with it positively, because when you live with it positively, you do not hide what your condition is, and by so doing, you educate others. Outside Africa, there has really not been much of that problem. We've had experience, for instance, in Canada, where there's been a lot of peer health education, and living positively with it is really a contribution to also overcoming some of the development issues.
Back to the students living with HIV. What experiences do they go through in school?
My first day when I went to Form 1, we sat down with my stepmother and my elder siblings. Now they were asking me, now we know we are leaving you to other people's hands. So are you comfortable for us maybe to tell them you have a problem, so that just in case anything happens to you, they can alert us. We managed to speak to the school principal, and she was like, hiyo ni life, okay. Hata kuna wengine hapa wengi sana wako na hiyo ugonjwa, usidhani utakufa. And she was speaking that in a very loud tone, not knowing that maybe hata kama huyu mwingine anasema maybe amepita hapo nje. So akasema it's okay, atakuwa tu sawa nini. But there was one of the days that I was supposed to come for my appointments, and I went to her to ask for permission, and then akaniambia hakuna kitu kama hiyo, there is no way you're going. Nini ndio wale watu mnaenda mnauza madawa huko nje nini. So I didn't come for my appointment that day. I had to source for a telephone from the school cooks to call my parents so that they can call the principal to confirm to her, to tell her that I was not going home to do anything illegal. I was just coming for my appointment. So for that particular day, I also didn't take my medication because my appointment day had reached. Sikuwa na dawa, principal amekataa nikuje nyumbani niende hosi.
I never had that courage to tell anyone. No teacher, no friend. Besides the school that I was learning, it was very, very, like we used to be given this like reports, maybe parents meeting, and then at the far end there was a slogan that used to say HIV and AIDS is a terrorist, it kills, stay with your family. So that made me so afraid. And hata singeweza ambia mtu, even the teacher, because if the slogan is I'm a terrorist, and maybe hata naweza fukuzwa kwa shule, naweza ambia you have it, we don't want anyone else to suffer, so just stay, search for another school or something else.
In school, they say that HIV kills, especially where I learn in Homa Bay. Say that country, people have ukimwi. Watu wako na ukimwi mingi, so they fear it. But ukijulikana, people will fear you also. So it's in private, so people don't know that I have. Maybe there are some people who have in the school, but they have kept from themselves. But only me, I'm the only one who I can see in the dorm that I'm taking the medicine, but people don't know why.
Mwalimu mwenye niliambia ni head teacher peke yake na deputy. Mwaka wa 2006 mimi niliwaambia, kawaambia wakaniitikia, sababu niliona siwezi kaa hivyo juu nikiweza kosa kwenda, kama nimeendea madawa, kesho yake nitaulizwa. Hata kama nikikosa kwenda shule, anatumana jua ama niko nyumbani ama niko wapi. Kaa siku nyingine nilikuwa mgonjwa na sikuwa nimemwambia mami ni mgonjwa, nikaa nyumbani, akanitumania, nikakutwa nyumbani, akasema niende, nikaenda, nikamuelezea hivi na hivi na hivi, aniambia sawa, ndio ukakaa nyumbani, ukipona utarudi.
My auntie had to sit with the head teacher, the principal, and tell her everything, disclose everything to her, and she accepted. By that time I was taking a special diet, so the principal said the school cannot do that just for me, so instead I can be carrying milk, UHT. So I entered school, and my medicine were kept with the nurse. We have a nurse, we have a dispensary there. The matron knew, the nurse knew, and they were very supportive.
The school administration keep to its word that if it is Teacher's Tower taking care of a certain boy or girl in her class that is HIV positive, I should keep the confidentiality of that child unless maybe the child is willing to disclose.
I've been in a boarding school and a day school and living with HIV because it was challenging to me since I never saw any teacher who was friendly, and as a lady back then I never knew how to socialize. I was very quiet in school, so all the teachers, I just saw them as teachers, not as a friend or a sister or a mom. So I took it personal in boarding school until when I came out of that school to a day school, where I found a teacher who was very maybe supportive, if I say. But to me, she wasn't, because at the end of it all, she went out disclosing what I told her to the rest of the kids, which was so harming to me afterwards, which also caused me to fail my drugs. That one I can say it was the cause of the teacher, because if she hadn't disclosed to the other teachers, I could gain that courage, and I could know I have someone who is supporting me.
One of the greatest challenges in the fight against HIV and AIDS is the stigma.
For me, kitu yenye inaweza niwa haraka ni stigma. If you tell me that if you have HIV, there is no future for you, kasi sina knowledge, itaweka kwa mind, and I'll say by there is no future.
Sana hapo form 3, form 2 hapo mwisho. Wasikia watu wanaanza umeza drugs, kwani uko na ukimwi nini? Cheki vile amekonda. Kwani were they reach a point that hadi kuna moja niambia Elvis manze umekonda siku hizi, kwani nini mbaya, kwani uko na ukimwi? Niambia azi ni anemia tu ndio inanisumbua. But then I just said it, but deep inside I felt that pain, that how comes, kwani washa realize nimeanza kukonda, kwani nimeanza kushow signs. za HIV AIDS, how comes? Yeah, that's all. So I never wanted to tell them due to fear of stigmatization and also the slogan of the school.
Actually, I had this interaction with one of them who got tired of what people were talking about her and all this, and she took all her ARVs and tried to commit suicide. She took all the bottles of her ARVs. So I went to talk to her and I asked her what's the problem and all that, and she told me, yeah, watu venye wanaongea, mi imefika point I don't see the essence of living. It's here, ni heri tu mimi nikufe niwaachane nayo. So I spoke to her, even gave her hope, nikamwambia, hey, look at me, I'm taking my meds, sijaambia watu and all that. I was keeping my medication for myself in my sanduku box zile zetu za shule.
The stigma is really, I believe, the real problem, both from those who are infected and those who are affected and those who interact with them, and especially with young people who would have really contracted this at through birth. You cannot really blame yourself, and you cannot also bring up young people to blame their parents, because like we said, it could be through a number of reasons, and not to just the way we negatively look at it, that it is promiscuity that creates this. It could be